the handling, the tender mercies of rioters and looters who are being basically allowed to roam free by the governor of the state, Tony Evers. As I mentioned before, Tony Evers rejected more National Guard help. He was offered it. He put out a little statement, which was very important. His statement was, tonight and in the days ahead, if you're going to protest, please do so peacefully and safely. Please do not allow the actions of a few to distract us from the work we must do together to demand justice, equity, and accountability. So big statement there from Governor Tony Evers. President Trump last night tweeted out, the governor should call in the National Guard in Wisconsin. It's ready, willing, and more than able. End the problem fast. It was now reported that local law enforcement in Wisconsin told the White House they needed at least 750 National Guard last night. Governor Evers sent 250. Today, Mark Meadows, the chief of staff at the White House, called the governor and offered 500 additional guards to meet the police needs, and Governor Evers declined. But he did release a statement. A statement yesterday, Governor Evers. What a wonderful governor he is, the governor of Wisconsin. Here was his statement. You ready? Listen to the harshness of the language he uses with regard to America versus the tender mercies that he uses with regard to people who are violently looting and burning things. Quote, the ability to exercise First Amendment rights is a critically important part of our democracy and the pursuit of justice. But there remains a line between peaceful assembly and what we saw last night that put individuals, families, and businesses in danger. We cannot forget the reason why these protests began. And what we have seen play out over the last 2 nights and many nights this year is the pain, anguish, and exhaustion of being black in our state and our country. Also, the natural consequence of being black in the United States and black in Wisconsin is apparently putting individuals, families, and businesses in danger. I mean, that's his language, which is absolutely insane. It is derogatory toward black Americans. It assumes they have no agency. It assumes they cannot obey the law or should not obey the law given the status of black Americans in our society, which is patently loony. Here's Tony Evers, garbage governor. As I said yesterday, as I'll reiterate today, everyone should be able to exercise their fundamental right, whether a protester or member of the press, peacefully and safely. We cannot allow the cycle of systemic racism and injustice to continue. We also cannot continue going down this path of damage and destruction. Notice the disembodied language he uses with regard to damage and destruction. Nobody's actually doing anything bad. It's just that things are being seen that put individuals, families, and businesses in danger. Right? It's absolutely passive language. Absolutely passive language. Right? We're going down a path of damage and destruction. We are assessing the damage to state property and will be increasing the presence of the Wisconsin National Guard to ensure individuals can exercise their right safely, protect state buildings and critical infrastructure, and support first responders and firefighters. Tonight and in the days ahead, if you're going to protest, please do so peacefully and safely. Please do not allow the actions of a few to distract us from the work we must do together to demand justice, equity, and accountability. Okay, so that didn't work. According to the New York Times, here's what happened during the shootings. Quote, many protesters left the area. Others lingered and walked to a gas station several blocks away. There, a group of men with guns stood outside, promising to protect the property and verbally sparring with the arriving protesters. As the night stretched on, the gas station became a tense gathering spot, with bystanders watching from parked cars and people milling around in the street, arguing and occasionally shoving each other. Police officers had crept closer to the gas stations in armored trucks, urging the people who were still there to go home. After midnight, shots were fired outside the gas station. 3 people were struck, according to Sheriff David Beth in an interview. The Kenosha Police Department said in a statement there were 2 fatalities. 1 person had been taken to the hospital with injuries that were not life-threatening. Sheriff Beth said the investigation was focused on a group of men with guns outside the gas station, and then investigators were scouring video taken just before the shooting. In one video, the men are shouting at each other and clutching their guns and occasionally pulling each other away to defuse the conflict. He said, I've had people saying, why don't you deputize the citizens? This is why you don't deputize citizens with guns, to protect Kenosha. Okay, so now citizens are being put in the situation of you can't defend your own business, because if you defend your own business and you get into an altercation and you shoot somebody, then obviously that's a bad thing. And also, the cops can't defend your business, so presumably they should just allow all of this to happen. There's some video that has emerged of what appears to be a young white man who's being chased down by a group of protesters / rioters and looters, and he falls to the ground, and when they approach him, he shoots them. And this is being used as proof positive of white racism, of course. Now, we don't know if all the people who were shot were white. We don't know that. And we know at least one person who was shot in the head was white. And that person apparently, according to reporting from the Daily Caller, was carrying a gun himself, I guess. Was that the report? It's all unclear. A lot of this is still up in the air, so I'm just going to bring you what I know at this point. There's one guy, there's video of Daily Caller, reporter helping the guy out, shot in the head as he was approaching a car dealership, presumably to do damage to the car dealership. That was one incident. Then there was another incident in which several people were shot when it appears that a white young man, apparently about 17 years old, who was carrying a gun and was being chased down, fell down on the street, and then when he was approached by people who looked like they were going to attack him, he turned around and he shot them. Okay, so all of this will be investigated. But here's the problem. Okay, chaos breaks out when you allow it to break out. You know why this stuff doesn't happen on a normal basis in the United States? Because we have police officers on the streets who are allowed to do their job. And we don't imply that every time they do their jobs, they're a bunch of brutal racists. It turns out that when you imply that every situation without further evidence is evidence of police brutality and systemic racism, and then the cops are removed from situations, people will defend their property, people will get violent, people will do stupid things on all sides. Rioters and looters and predators will attempt to prey on victims. People who don't want to be victimized will go out there, and they will sometimes do things that are ill-advised, protecting themselves or their property, or even not protecting themselves or their property. Chaos reigns when the mob rules. Chaos reigns when the mob rules. And that is what we are watching right now. The mob is ruling in Kenosha. This is what happens when you completely deride the police on the basis of no evidence, by the way, okay? Because I'm going to bring you some more evidence in the Jacob Blake case. It turns out that the entire original story, at least large parts of it, were lies. We were told by Benjamin Crump that Jacob Blake was going to a house to break up a domestic disturbance. Good Samaritan Jacob Blake, who had a warrant out for 3 separate crimes, including one involving domestic abuse and another involving sexual assault, third-degree sexual assault. Okay, but he was the good guy there, according to Benjamin Crump, and then for no reason the cops just gunned him down. Then there was video that emerged yesterday of Jacob Blake resisting arrest, fighting off the police officers. We still don't know what was in his hand. We still don't know what was in his car when he leaned into the car. And then being shot. So that changed the story somewhat. Now, we have the radio scanner audio of the call regarding the police. And you know what they show? It shows the police knew full well that there was an open warrant out for the guy, and he was apparently, according to the police scanner, the instigator of the incident that caused all of this to happen in the first place. He went to somebody's house where he wasn't supposed to be, and he stole the woman's keys. He stole the woman's keys, and that's why the cops got called in. And they were called in, presumably, by somebody who is a person of color. That's why the cops were there in the first place. Here is some of the police audio of the Blake call, the Jacob Blake call. It turns out that the police were called to the situation knowing there was a man there with an open warrant who was apparently harassing a woman and stealing her keys. So, no, he was not there, apparently, by the police audio, to break up a fight. He was not a good Samaritan. He resisted arrest. We don't know what was in his hand. You don't walk away from the cops while they're pointing guns at your back and then reach into your car unless you want to get shot. That is an idiotic move. It doesn't mean that this is a fully justified shooting. It means it's going to be very difficult to prosecute police officers when literally you buck the police officers off your back, walk away from them while you're under, there's an open warrant for his arrest, right? They're arresting him. He bucks the police officers off his back, and then he walks around the side of his car and reaches into the car. Okay, there's an open warrant out for domestic abuse, and he's got 3 kids in the back of the car. What are they supposed to do, let him go? Explain this to me. Seriously, explain this to me. But apparently this is worthy of burning down the entire city of Kenosha and every major politician in America claiming that this is an incident of police brutality and police racism. Here is some of the radio scanner audio of the Blake call that caused the police to show up in the first place.
2805 40th Street, 280540 Street. Complainant says Jacob Blake isn't supposed to be there, and he took the complainant's keys and is refusing to give them back. Headquarters 618-707 to first 43. We have an alert at this address for 99 for that subject.
717, shot fired.
Copy, shot fired.
We need rescue. ASAP.
Okay, within 40 seconds, the rescuers were on their way. That's why Jacob Blake is still alive. Okay, so they knew that he was a felon, and there was an open warrant for him. The 911 was called because he had stolen keys from a woman. Okay, this was not the case of innocent black man being pulled over by the police for no reason, complying with all police orders, and then being shot for his trouble. That is not what this case was. Not from the beginning, not now. But it doesn't matter, because our media and our politicians have an interest in polarizing the debate and suggesting that America is systemically racist, and thus, every flashpoint shooting that is caught on tape is evidence of police racism. This has driven piece of human debris, Sean King, an absolutely awful human being, to tweet out, and Bernie Sanders, delegate, by the way, to the Kenosha Police Department. If you do not name the officer who brutally shot Jacob Blake on Sunday, we will simply begin naming officers from your department who may or may not be him. Eff it. Your protection of his identity is unethical. What's his name? Well, maybe they're not naming him because pieces of crap like Sean King are then going to activate a bunch of people to harass the police officer in the absence of evidence and the absence of an investigation. Maybe because this mob justice is no justice at all. It's just garbage people doing garbage things. Maybe it's that, Sean King. And by the way, the fact that Sean King is doing this is unbelievable, considering that there is a person who actually committed suicide not all that long ago because Sean King misidentified him as a particular criminal. According to ABC13.com, this is just last year, Robert Paul Cantrell, 49, was found by staff at the Montgomery County Jail early on Tuesday, July 29th. He was found dead in his cell. He was hanged in an apparent suicide. Staff tried to revive him and perform CPR. He was in jail on a charge of robbery evading. He was wrongly accused in the shooting death of a 7-year-old earlier this year. Why? Because Shaun King put up a Twitter post of his picture. It was the wrong guy. So definitely I want Shaun King to be in charge of mob justice in the United States. Great move, everybody. Really, really strong stuff here. Mob justice is no justice. Social justice, by the way, is also no justice. Individual justice is the only kind of justice that matters. But have you noticed that people are studiously avoiding individual justice? We don't look at the individual circumstances of cases. All we do is we look at the color of the people involved and then make a snap decision on what exactly happened. I don't know what happened in these shootings last night. You don't either yet. We'll find out. I don't have all the details on Jacob Blake, but I'm happy to wait until all of the details come out. You know what nobody else is happy to do? Wait until all the details come out. Because they have a pre-existing narrative by which mob justice and social justice matter more than individual justice. The minute that you add any modifier to justice other than the word individual, you are now part of the bad guy crew. You are the problem, not the solution. Individual justice is the solution, not collective justice, not social justice, and certainly not the mob justice that we are seeing right now. Jamal Bowman, who is a person who's about to enter Congress, he just took over Elliot Engel's seat in the primary. He's one of the new members of the squad. Here's what he tweeted out. We need Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to condemn the armed militias that killed 2 people in Kenosha yesterday while working in tandem with local police. These militias are domestic terrorists looking to incite a race war. Protecting private property is cover for their agenda. So in other words, if you showed up and you protected your own private property, according to Jamal Bowman, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden should condemn you. But if you're there to burn down somebody's store, well, then you're a member of the good guy crew. Solid, solid stuff. Now, we can get to more of this. Honestly, the Republican National Convention should just show this crap on a loop. On a loop. Forget the convention. 2 hours tonight should be dedicated to showing this stuff on a loop. Because this is the choice right now. Cave to this mob or don't cave to the mob. Again, there are real consequences to this sort of insanity. Consequences on a life basis. I mean, people were shot last night in Kenosha, not by the cop. Shot last night. There are consequences to business. A place called Gravity Gaming Lounge posted this on Facebook last night. Quote, for those that heard, we got looted. Everything in the store was taken. The place was destroyed. For a business that was struggling to get back to normal and pushing through these hard times, we will not be able to come back from this. The damage to our building, the cost to replace the exterior damage, and to top it off, to replace everything stolen is going to be catastrophic. As we look to see the total cost, at this point, we'll be closing down completely. And this is what happens in cities when you allow all of this crap to happen. When all of this crap is allowed to run roughshod. Where the mob rules, again, chaos will follow. And that is what you're seeing. And you're seeing it spread into the suburb. This is not relegated to high crime areas anymore. You're starting to see people being harassed in public places. Remember that time when it was just about, if you're a Trump official, we're going to yell at you at a restaurant? Well, no longer. Now, we're just going to yell at you no matter where you are. There was an unbelievable tape yesterday of a crew of people harassing a woman at a Washington, D.C. outdoor restaurant. She's just sitting there. By the way, she says that she's repeatedly marched with Black Lives Matter. She just was not going to be bullied into doing anything by a mob. So good for her. Good for her. Well done, everybody here in the crowd. Apparently, one of the people who was doing this crap was a writer for Deadspin. His name was Modiano. His name was Modiano. And this Modiano character, Chuck Modiano, he decided that he couldn't understand why she was the only diner in the area who wouldn't comply with the demand. What was in you? You couldn't do this? And Victor, who's an urban planner, the woman's name is Victor. Her name is Lauren B. Victor. She said, I felt I was under attack. She said that there was something wrong about being coerced to show support. She said, I wasn't actually frightened. I didn't think they'd do anything to me. I'm very much with them. I've been marching with them for weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah, but here's Captain Deadspin over here bullying a woman and getting in her face and screaming at her face in the middle of a COVID pandemic. So solid stuff here from your BLM crew. So we get now with shaming mobs. This is really exciting stuff. So now the law's on the side of the mob. It's on the side of the bullies. Now, some of the great heroes in American history are people who withstood the mob, who stand up for their rights. You know, people like John Lewis, who literally withstood a racist mob, who sit and just take a milkshake at a lunch counter, right? That is great American heroism. Now, the same people claiming John Lewis's mantle are trying to shout people into submission and bully them into putting up a fist. Okay, if you're trying to claim John Lewis's mantle and you're doing that, you're a piece of crap. Meanwhile, more people were being threatened at dining yesterday. Here's another case from Washington, D.C., where people were being mobbed and shouted at for the great crime of not raising a fist in solidarity with this Marxist BLM organization. Here we go. How delightful. Apparently the people being bullied here also work with people who have mental instability issues. I'm not kidding. Mental instability issues, disproportionately minority. Those are the people being screamed at here. That is what the social media has found. So again, incredibly, incredibly well done. And of course, things have not let up in Portland. Last night in Portland, things continued to be riotous. There were more riots in Portland last night. The governor of Oregon was like, you know, it'd be great if you stopped this violence. Oh, has that occurred to you? We're now 3 months in. And in Seattle, according to my friend Jason Rant over at KTTH, Seattle rioters used a substance suspected to be quick-dried concrete to seal shut the door to the East Precinct, the Seattle Police Department has confirmed. And then, a rioter attempted to set fire to the building after concreting people in the building. Now, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is working with the Seattle PD on this investigation. Rioters assaulted Seattle's East Precinct on Monday night. This marked another night of violent criminal activism against police officers unconnected to anger over a recent police shooting in Wisconsin. According to KTTH, as some in the crowd vandalized the building and tormented police, others brought quick-dry cement to seal police officers inside the building. So, just wonderful, wonderful behavior all the way around. Good thing that they slashed the salary of the police chief in Seattle, Carmen Best, forcing her to quit. The black female police chief of Seattle was now quit. So all of this, it turns out, is not redounding to the benefit of Democrats, which led Don Lemon to say the quiet part out loud, which is, guys, the rioting and the looting were all fine. You know, the beating of people in the streets and the bullying, all of that was fine, but now people are starting to become aware, so probably Joe Biden should say something about it. Here was Don Lemon saying, oh, you know, it was fine until it started to affect the Democrats' poll numbers.
I think this is a blind spot for Democrats. I think Democrats are ignoring the problem and hoping that it will go away. And it's not going to go away. And so, unless someone comes up with a solution over the next 73 days, or 70 so, however many days.
68 days.
68 days. So it's not going to, the problem is not going to be fixed by then. But what they can do, and I think maybe Joe Biden may be afraid to do it. I'm not sure. Maybe he won't. Maybe he is. He's got to address it.
He should address it, not because it's bad, you see. He should address it because it's going to affect his poll numbers. The narrative must always be maintained, and when Joe Biden addresses it, what he should discuss is systemic American racism, of course. That's the real problem. He should discuss systemic American racism and why it's leading to rioting and looting. So, there are no words. The media are complicit in this kind of crap, by the way. I'm going to get to that in a second, because the media are absolutely complicit. They are pushing it. They continue to push false narratives about police action in the absence of evidence. They've been doing it for literally years. Every major incident of the last 5 years, probably, has been misconstrued by the media originally without waiting for any of the available facts. Actively misconstrued by the media. Every single one. I'm struggling to think of one that has not been misconstrued. Maybe the only one I can think of is Philando Castile. That is the only one that I can think of that has not been actively misconstrued or miscovered by the media. The Freddie Gray situation in Baltimore was considered an act of police racism. The autopsy found that the police did not, in fact, beat Freddie Gray to death or purposefully kill Freddie Gray. The Eric Garner incident was considered an act of police racism despite the fact that the sergeant on duty and who was watching over all of it was black, and the fact that Eric Garner died of the fact of his pre-existing conditions. He did not actually die of being choked out in that particular situation. Doesn't mean he should have died, but the original details are not the original story. The Rayshard Brooks shooting is a situation where a man took a taser, tased 2 cops, wrestled them to the ground, and then was shot for his trouble. The Michael Brown shooting was not a situation of a black man surrendering to police, hands up, don't shoot. It was a lie. It was a lie from the beginning. The media went with it anyway. It is difficult to think of a situation where the media did not miscover the situation dramatically and in the wrong direction from the very outset, declaring that it was a symptom of deeper underlying American racism. And we're watching that right now in a variety of cases. In a variety of cases. I'll get to more details on that in just 1 second. The deep irresponsibility of our media that have one job, and that is to actively report the facts, not to report a narrative, not to report the 1619 Project's lies about America, to report the facts. And their abject irresponsibility and refusal to do so is leading to what we are seeing in the streets right now. Okay, we're going to get to the dramatic media miscoverage of nearly every major police-involved incident of the last several years. But first, the RNC is off to a great start, blowing the DNC out of the water in nearly every way. In fact, online, C-SPAN viewership 6 times the opening night of the DNC, which is a huge number. Daily Wire is matching this enthusiasm with an even better lineup of All Access Live to watch the RNC with you over at dailywire.com. Starting tonight at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, 5:15 p.m. Pacific, our own Matt Walsh will be once again sacrificing himself for you. He'll be live streaming the entire night of RNC speakers and watching with you, taking your comments and questions, letting you know what he thinks in real time, and we'll be hosting more live watch parties every day for the rest of the week, so do not miss out. All Access members get to join these All Access live sessions, or one of us jumps on every night to chat with you both in live stream and in the comments. All Access membership also features not 1, but 2 Leftist Tears tumblers with your membership, as well as early and sometimes exclusive access to new Daily Wire products. So head on over to dailywire.com/Shapiro right now to get 20% off All Access with coupon code ACCESS. That's dailywire.com/Shapiro with coupon code ACCESS to get 20% off membership. You're listening to the largest, fastest growing podcast and radio show in the nation.
If I heard you Thank you.